Hello, all. This is Dr. Dave Maslak talking to you about reciprocity.com. The E is written with a 3. And in this particular video, I actually want to talk about whether there actually is a business school professor shortage. I'm actually a professor of innovation strategy and entrepreneurship. And this is something that you might hear about a lot if you are thinking of doing a PhD in business administration or something like that. You're thinking about actually going and becoming a business school professor, and you want to understand whether there actually is demand for doing a degree, a terminal degree, a PhD in anything that is going to get you in and become a business school professor. So this is a little bit more trickier than you think it is, and I'm going to explain what I mean by this in terms of a business school professor shortage. And if you probably look at the numbers, it might indicate that there is some sort of shortage, right? That there is going to be X number of people that are going to be retiring in the next few years because of the baby boomers, and then there's a lot of more older professors out there that are sort of going through the retirement system really soon, and they're thinking about retiring. So we often think about, or some people might think, that there actually is a business school shortage or a shortage of professors out there. So first of all, I want you to think or watch, I have a video on PhD supply and demand. You can watch that video first. Just go Google it. Go into YouTube and look up PhD supply and demand, and that will describe some of the things I'm going to talk about now. And then the second thing to think about now, is there actually a shortage of people that are business school professors? And the answer is probably, but probably not at the same time. It's not necessarily all that clear. And what there is a shortage of is people that are able to do research that is marketable and is rigorous and interesting. And that particular type of professor that can do something that is rigorous and interesting research is really tough to do. It is a lot of people that are at the top of their game. And if that's the case, if you're at the top of your game and you're doing stuff that's relevant and interesting and people are really curious about what you're doing, then there is a shortage for that. So if you do a PhD, often it is difficult to find a job at the end of it, even in business administration, because people are doing things that are pretty generic. You can find a job, but you're not probably going to go in the direction that you thought you were going to go into if you did a PhD in business administration. So what there is a shortage of, again, is people that are doing interesting, relevant, and applicable, rigorous work that a lot of people can say, oh, that's really interesting. I never thought about that particular thing, and that's really applicable to the business world, and I never thought about that. That is in pretty high demand, and those people that do that kind of stuff will start commanding really high salaries because, again, they're at the top of their game. So how do you actually do that? What is it that makes you into high demand if you're thinking about doing a PhD in business administration? So you have to demonstrate that you are sufficiently trained somehow. So that might be going to, a specific university, for example. Often that's how people infer that you are trained, because you went to a specific university. You can also demonstrate that you work with key leaders in the field somehow, some key researchers or key people that are in the field. That is also one way to actually demonstrate. You just have to demonstrate that you are sufficiently trained. However you might actually do that, it's not necessarily clear that there is not one right answer. The easiest way is to demonstrate that you went to some top university and that you are sufficiently trained. And that is going to get you one sort of step in the way. And then the next thing that you have to think about, the second thing that you have to think about, is your research or your ideas. And I'm talking about more of your own personal ideas. Is that relevant to a business audience? Are people that are managers, are they going to care about the thing that you're doing once you actually do that particular thing? Because what you're trying to do is demonstrate to one set of audience. You're trying to demonstrate to the academic audience that your idea is interesting, but then you're also trying to demonstrate to the business audience that the stuff you're working on is relevant. And if you can get those two sort of combined, then you're in a much better position than if you're just kind of demonstrating to one particular dimension out there, right? So that's really important, that you're demonstrating to the business environment. And then you also have to demonstrate that your ideas are in high demand somehow. So it's not just being sort of relevant and, that the business audience is finding it interesting, but it's in high demand somehow. There is a lot of popularity dynamics that happens within the business school environment. If you're thinking of becoming a professor of some sort, where what ends up happening is, people just find one particular topic really interesting and really sort of relevant for a very short period of time, and it might be a couple of years. And then after that, it kind of dies off and it's no longer a hot topic. So right now, it's like it's 2018, it's things like blockchain, right? Everybody's talking about the blockchain and how interesting it is. So in a few more years, it might not necessarily be all that relevant and all that interesting as it sort of becomes the norm, or it just kind of dies off, right? So you have to think about that there is this popularity dynamics. And as soon as you label yourself as a blockchain person, and maybe it's an entrepreneurship blockchain person, well, there's going to be X number of universities out there that are interested in your research, and you're much more likely to get hired into a university professor in a college or a business school professor role because of that, because you are sort of demonstrating that there is something hot behind the scenes, right? So that's really what you're trying to do, is demonstrate that your work is relevant somehow. And if you can sort of, it's hard to sort of game that kind of stuff, the sort of popularity dynamics kind of stuff. It's really just, it's largely unpredictable on what is going to be popular and what's not going to be popular. But you have to sort of think about that in sort of popularity dynamics and where something is going to go and what is going to be popular in the next few years. And then the fourth thing is, and these are the people that are really in super crazy high demand, are the people that are somehow demonstrating that they are a leader in their specific research area. So however you might do that, you can go out and, carve out a really small niche or niche out there, a research niche, and then you sort of claim it as your thing, and you do that for 20 years, you are going to show that you are a leader in that particular area. And once you've been doing that for 20 years, then of course you can start demanding higher salaries. And, then there's a shortage for you because you're the only person that can do that particular area or do that particular kind of research that is unique and different and interesting. And lots of people think, oh, well, there's that person right there, right? You should check out that person. So you have to think about that. And this is normally how, when people hire business school professors, this is normally what ends up happening, is they hire for two sort of things. They're hiring for a teaching niche or a teaching niche gap that they're trying to fill. So trying to pick something that is pretty relevant. Fields like entrepreneurship right now are relevant. Management information systems, which was dead for years, is starting to really pick up because they're relabeling it as like analytics, right? And that's becoming a really big thing. You're starting to see postings all over the place for professors interested in business analytics, at business schools. And so if you could sort of fill that particular niche in teaching, then that's one thing checked off. But then you also sort of check off a research area as well. So, what kind of research are you doing? Are you doing qualitative research? Well, then the professors are going to be looking for, well, we don't have somebody that's doing qualitative research, and we'd like to bring them in and see what they're about, right? So you can sort of check that off as well. And you can also check off other things, right? Like, it doesn't matter what that particular, maybe it's a type of methodology or type of sort of research focus that you're doing, but that's what they're going to look for. So those two key things is filling that first, filling that teaching need. There always is that particular teaching need, and whatever's relevant, that's going to matter. It's up to you to look into what is relevant going forward. And then the other thing is thinking about the particular research, gap that schools are going to look for. They're going to be trying to that's really what it comes down to. So at the end of the day, is there a shortage of business school professors? In general, the generic business school professor that sort of teaches generic courses and is very generic in general, not really. It's going to be hard to find a position if that's the case. There's lots of people that can solve that. The world is really big right now. The world is becoming more global, and there's a lot of countries that are becoming sort of very good at doing all of this kind of stuff. They're coming online, and it is really changing in the last 10 years. It's changed a lot. There's lots of people that are hunting for jobs in this particular field. So no, if you're very generic, but yes, if you are very focused and you have a specific thing that you're trying to solve and you're trying to go after, and it's relevant and people think that it's relevant, and you are somehow popular in terms of what you are doing. So you have to demonstrate that the thing that you're doing is popular and people are sort of picking up and thinking that, that's an interesting idea. So that's all I wanted to talk about today. This is part of my Thesis Help series. So this is geared towards people that are doing research or in graduate school or thinking about going into graduate school. And I put this out every Friday. Hopefully you like it. Make sure you give me a thumbs up if you think this is interesting, as well as do subscribe to the channel. I do appreciate that as well. I put these things out and been trying to do it for going on almost a year now, which is cool. And I'll keep doing it, hopefully, going forward. All right, take care and have a wonderful day. Bye.